Life is Laughable podcast. I was trying to shoot the next installment in this podcast, but I was having some technical difficulties. I was going to try to touch on the subject of retro video game magazines, but I was having some technical difficulties, so I kind of veered left a little bit with today's podcast. I will definitely be touching on that at a later time, but I wanted to talk a little bit today about video gaming and disabilities. And as many people don't know, there's a lot of people in our community, such in the nerd community, that have disabilities, and that is something that I am a big advocate for, since being somebody with a disability. Yours truly was born 1976, so I am one of those bicentennial babies. Yes, my parents were hot and heavy in the 70s, and thus I came along. But anywho, I was born with a mental disability. I don't know if you can call it mental disability, but physical disability. I was born neurologically impaired. Basically, what happened was during the time that I was born, my brain wasn't getting enough oxygen, so the different cells and different things that connect in the brain did not connect properly like in a normal brain. So in my brain, basically, like one veered left, one veered right. So when I process information or just things in general, it takes me a little bit longer to process it. So for like most people, when we process something or somebody says something to somebody, normally you get it right off the bat. I took that information in and I can process it. For me, it's a little bit longer than that. It takes a few more minutes of processing to comprehend with all that, basically. So when that comes to gaming, it makes it a little bit more difficult than your average gamer. I mean, it takes me a bit, but once I get the hang of it, I'm golden boy. I'm golden boy in the game. But disabilities in gaming, it is a big thing in our community, and it's not really talked about much. Even at conventions, when we go to conventions, there is people on the daily that have disabilities that go to these conventions, and you might not even know it. You might have a friend or a family member that might have a disability, but you won't see it because a lot of disabilities like mine are unseeable, if that makes sense. Meaning it's not physical, meaning on the outside. Like, I might not have crutches, I might not have a wheelchair, I might not walk a little different, my speech might not be, I might not use aids to help me, but I have a disability. It's there, And by seeing me in person at a convention or a gaming convention, you would never know that, but it's there. And it's been there for years. And it makes things for me, and a lot of other people who have disabilities, it makes things a lot harder to function and do daily chores, activities, and things like that. With my particular disability, there's a lot of things that I can and cannot do, but there's a lot more that I can do than I can't do. But it's all there, and it goes hand to hand. But in the gaming community, there is a lot of people, and even close friends of mine that are in this community that have a disability. And there's not many outlets for people like us. There has been in the future, I shouldn't say in the future, but there has been some changes with all this. As of recently, there has been conventions starting that are geared to people of the disability community, like-minded people that are nerds and geeks, that allow us to go meet our favorite celebrities and dress up and do different things like that. There's one, I believe, that is happening in the next few months or so. I think it's happening up in New York City. And it's a convention geared to people of the disability community, per se, and people that fall under that bridge also. And I feel that that is a stepping stone for people like us. And it's showing people out in the market that, hey, there is other people besides, and I don't want to coin the term normal people, but there is people out there that aren't normal, that have disabilities of some sort, you know, and we want to make an environment or create an event that's friendly and accessible to those people to be able to have access to go to, you know, whether it be I want to dress up as my favorite superhero, but I am wheelchair bound, or I want to dress up as my favorite video game character, but I have crutches, you know, and it makes it hard for me to do different things at conventions that normal people can do and partake in, you know. And even on the video game side, they are like Xbox, for an example. Here, and I give them props big time for this. They, as of recently, created a gaming controller that is for people with disability that like to play games, you know. And it's amazing that they were able to come up with the technology to build something like this to allow people that are wheelchair bound or disabled in some way, shape, or form that can't use their hands, and allow them to be able to play a game. And that's just, it blows my mind that this even is happening in what, we're in 2024? I mean, this is simply amazing that this is even taking place, you know? And if more companies, I feel, were to get on board with this whole gaming / disability thing and making more things accessible to people with disabilities that love to game, I mean, it'd be amazing, you know? I mean, gaming has been, for me, I mean, it's been a huge outlet for me, you know. I spend time gaming, and it allows me to live in a world where there's no boundaries. You know, I can play Call of Duty, or I can play Resident Evil, or I can play, Grand Theft Auto, and it allows me to go into an immersive world, or even WoW, for an example, World of Warcraft. It allows me to go into a world, be somebody that I'm not, and it allows me to escape the realities, the pressures of today, you know, of what's going on in the world, whether it be at job, home, etc. It allows me that time, whether it's an hour, half an hour, you know. I mean, it just allows me the time to get away and have that time to, you know, do what I like to do. You know, and gaming, board gaming, everything that is related, as I say, it's under that bridge. That's just been my passion through life. Video games, comic books, etc. You know, I am, as I say, I don't put my fandom all in one basket. It's like, it's separated. But back to the topic at hand, people with disabilities in gaming, it is a thing. And it's hard for a lot of people out there that do game, you know. And it's nice to see companies like Microsoft I haven't checked into it. I don't know if PlayStation has anything like that, but I know there is companies out there that are making gaming accessibility for making it easier for people with disabilities to be able to play games, you know? And I know quite a few people in my community in general that have it or have difficulties playing games, and would like to play games, but they can't because it's not available for them, the technology. But like with companies like Xbox that have created these devices, now these people can play games. I have a dear friend of mine. Her and her husband are big into Legos, and she unfortunately has a disability where it makes it hard to use her hands. Well, Lego and companies like that have created devices that allow her to be able to enjoy that time putting Legos together and not necessarily having to use her hands per se, but still being able to put these models together of things, and it's amazing. And it's nice to see that there are people out there doing this, you know? And that's the same way with people that are physically blind and that are in this community of nerds and geeks, and they want to read a comic book, but they have no physical way of seeing the writing in that book. And now there is companies that are hiring voiceover actors and people in general to be able to read these comic books via apps, and it allows those people with hearing impaired issues and people that are blind to be able to partake in something that without that technology, they would not be able to hear, see, read a comic book, you know? And it just amazes me and it blows my mind that this technology is available. And like I'll keep saying this to the end of the day. I give props to Microsoft for creating devices like this for people that have disabilities and still want to be able to partake and play video games, but may not have the ability to use their hands, or they can use their hands, but their hands are limited to what they can do, as far as maybe they're missing fingers or something of that sort. I have a gentleman I follow on TikTok. He's a content creator. He is a like-minded fellow nerd, but he was born with a disability. Some of his fingers did not develop, or he wasn't born with them. So he has limited mobility with his hands, but due to devices like this that Microsoft and other companies have put out there, he can now play games. He can do things. So, and shout out to Quincy's Tavern. Go over to TikTok, check it out. It's called Quincy's Tavern. I've been following him for a little over a year now. It's fun content. If you are a nerd, a geek, if you're into World of Warcraft, Dungeons and Dragons, Harry Potter, any of that type of stuff, anything that has to do with, things of that nature, or Lord of the Rings, definitely they hit the spot. They hit everything from games to cooking, you name it. But it's Quincy's Tavern. Go check it out over on TikTok. I believe they're on YouTube. They might even be on Facebook. Normally they have a link on their bio up at the top there. You can click it and it'll send you to their different social media pages. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about my life as being a gamer and having a disability and how it's impacted my life, and even going in high school, growing up in high school, it was even difficult for me, because I was like the oddball, because I was a nerd, it was like, oh, the pocket protector people, which I wasn't, but, and my running standing joke is people always make fun of us, but when their computers break down or something tech related happens, we're the first people they call, So it's like, don't make fun of us because we're the first people you call when you can't fix that iPad or your computer's glitching, the blue screen of death, you call us to, like, take a look at it and try to fix it, But yes, disability in gaming in our community, it exists. You probably don't see it because, like I've said previously, a lot of disabilities go unseen. They're not seen because a lot of disabilities are not physical. Mine is a case in point. Mine is one that you don't see. If you were standing right in front of me, you would never think to know that I have a disability unless I physically told you, hey, I have a disability. I'm neurologically impaired. And this is what it causes and this is what it does, And even for me having this disability, it's opened a lot of doors for me that normally would not be open. But also it gives me a chance to share my life with other people. And my ultimate goal in life is to share awareness of disabilities and things of that nature, and put a smile on people's faces, And at the end of the day, we can all get along, So, just because somebody has a disability does not mean that they are any different, And we need more people to understand that. We're just like you, the next person in the next room, etc. We're all alike. It's just that we have a different way of doing things or even thinking of things, But I wanted to touch on that today. I will be eventually getting around to talking about the retro video game magazines because there's been a huge development in that. But later days, everyone. Have a super fantastic day. Also, link in the bio where you can help support the channel, subscribe, because I like to go to these conventions. I like to do these different things, and there's ways that you can support me. I also have in my link, it is called Buy Me a Coffee. Whether it's $1, $10, or even $5, I don't care. It just helps support my channel here and helps me be able to go to different events and conventions when they're happening. Because, as you know, it costs money, it costs gas to get there. It's like they don't allow me to get in for free, as much as I would like to and be able to create and film. It's hard when you're on a fixed income, basically. But later days, everyone, and have a super fantastic day. And pay it forward with kindness. That's all I can say. Bye.